Hey everyone, so I'm in the midst of a shower remodel. My tub rusted through and I ended up removing the tub and installing a shower pan and just finished tiling and grouting. I haven't documented any of the project, but I figured it'd probably be helpful if I made a video on the shower door install. So a DIY version of the average Joe trying to install this particular shower door. That way, if you're looking into it, you can see if this is something that you're capable of doing, and it'll help you make a decision on whether to go ahead and purchase it yourself and install it or have a contractor do it. So the shower door that I purchased is the, I guess it's OVE Toledo Soft Close 60. And there's a model right there. So the dimensions are 60 by 78.74. My shower is 60 inches wide, so that's kind of your average length for a shower or a bathtub. So I'm going to get this opened up, make sure it's not broken, and we'll get it installed. So here's the other side of the box. I went ahead and moved it out of the truck and flipped it over. And this is, it's like brushed nickel or something like that. Oh, there it is. Satin nickel. Okay, so that's what it looks like when you open the box. Got the instructions there. Also looks like the glass is good. I don't see any cracks. So, okay, so first up, you're going to take this positioning tool. So you notice in your box, you have this positioning tool, and it has two holes at the top where you're going to mark your holes. So it just provides that perfect length based on how tall the shower door is. And so you'll set it 1 3/8 inches away from the edge of your shower pan. Then you'll put your level on it. So I got it good and level now. And so see those two holes up there? I'm gonna mark those. Then as you can see, I gotta mark it on the other side as well. Same thing. So now we know where to put our mounting brackets. So in order to drill the holes to mount that support bar, and that's what the instructions are calling, that the beam across the top is the support bar. But we're going to be using these tile bits here, and you can use a masonry bit. I've used masonry bits to drill through porcelain. It just takes a long time, and you run the risk of snapping your tile. So I figured I'd get these because they're specially made for tile and for glass. And so to drill those holes, we'll need the 5/16 bit. So another thing you notice as I'm drilling the holes is I've got a bag mounted up here underneath where I'm going to be drilling the hole. And the reason for that is because I used Kira epoxy CQ grout, and so that's an epoxy based grout that takes a week to cure, and so I just installed that yesterday, and so it's still curing, and any dust that gets on that grout will just soak right in and you won't be able to clean it out. I have this bag here to catch any of that dust. So hopefully I don't make a mess and mess up my grout in doing this. But you won't have to put this in your application unless you use the same type of grout that I use and it's not cured yet. Another thing that I'll be using when drilling these holes is a spray bottle. And I'll spray that in place where the drill contacts the tile. And that'll help keep the bit cool. So I got the holes drilled. There's those, there's two over here. My little bag trick to catch all the debris and water from the sprayer worked real well, so I didn't damage my grout. Regarding the bits that I used, this took a long time. I don't remember it taking that long to drill through porcelain with the masonry bit. It could have been a long time. I don't drill through porcelain every day, but the 5/16 bit worked because I didn't crack my tile, so that's the plus right there. You don't want to crack your tile, so it did take a long time. I was spraying a lot of water because obviously a bit on porcelain obviously is going to generate a lot of heat. There's these two mounts here that you've got to get mounted so that you can attach the support bar. So I'm going to get those mounted. If your wall is hollow, they have anchors here for you to put into the holes that were just drilled, but my walls aren't hollow. So before I even put the cement board up and tiled, when the studs were still exposed, I actually put a brace across here. But again, they do have the anchors here for you. So I'm going to be using this and then these screws here to get these mounts here mounted onto the wall. So because my walls aren't hollow, I need to make a pilot hole for my screws, and I put a 1/8 bit on here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get those pilot holes drilled out. So this is officially called the support bar anchor. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that mounted. See, I got the screw poked through there, and I'm just gonna do it by hand with this Phillips screwdriver. I got the support bar anchors up. And so next up is the support bar. This is a support bar. It will sit on the support bar anchor, but in the instructions it tells you that you have to cut it the length of the opening of your shower. So the support bar in my case is too long. It's not the right size. So I'm going to have to cut this back. And it says to make it the length of the opening minus 3/16. So I'm going to measure my opening and then minus 3/16, and I'll go ahead and make the cut on the support bar. So the opening measured 57 3/4, but minus 3/16 is 57 9/16. In the instructions, they suggest using a hacksaw. I, however, want to make sure I get a nice, clean, straight cut. I have this masonry / metal blade for my miter saw, and so I'm going to go ahead and make the cut. So there's what that looks like. I am going to file it down on the end just so I don't cut myself, but it was a nice straight cut, as you can see. That fits now. There's some additional hardware I got to add to it, but just wanted to do a little dry run to see if it worked. Okay, now that I have the support bar cut to the right size, the first set of hardware that I need to add to this is the soft close mechanism. Over here, this side already has the soft close mechanisms already in place for both doors, because that's not the side that we cut. They want you to cut the opposite side. So once we get this side to the right size, then we can add these two soft close mechanisms down here, and we'll follow instructions for doing that. Okay, so for mounting the soft close mechanisms, we're going to be measuring 3 1/16 for the first set of holes, and then 11 1/4 for the second set of holes. Now there's notches down the top of the support bar, and we will put the holes in those notches. To drill into the support bar, I'm going to use this Kobalt alloy drill bit. Kobalt is actually supposed to make the drill bit last longer and meant for these thick pieces of metal, because this is pretty thick. I put this piece of paper under here to catch all the little metal fragments so that we're not walking on them. Man, that worked way better than I thought. It just shot right through there. So I got all my holes cut. I'm going to go ahead and get these soft close mechanisms out of here and get this in place. Also, this right here is a key for adjusting your soft close mechanism. Not sure exactly how that works yet, but we'll mess with that here in a second. Oh, and by the way, my little paper, it worked pretty well, other than the mishap where that drill just shot right on through. All right, so I measured wrong. You can see the holes on the soft close mechanism do not line up with my holes. What it is I measured 11 inches from the end here. It actually is 11 inches from here based on the diagram. So don't make that mistake. I'm going to measure the new holes, get those in place. Okay, I'm going to be using the DD screws and the soft close mechanism. It looks like the little notch here will need to be towards the end. So I'll go ahead and do this like this, and I'll go ahead and get those attached. Okay, so next up, I'm going to add this piece of hardware right here. This is the cut side, so it was a little rough getting that in there. Here's a finishing piece. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. All right, now I'm going to attempt to get this on here. Doing this one-handed. And we just got to tighten this in place using a screw. And to mount that in place, we're going to use the EE screws. That's what that looks like. Before we can mount those screws in place, we do have to check and see if it's level and adjust it appropriately. And yeah, so we're off, and I have to make some adjustments. So I'm sitting here messing with this, and there's not really a good way to get it level by adjusting the hardware. So what I'm gonna do is take it off and then just see what I can do to adjust the support anchors. So this one needs to go up and maybe that one can go down. I don't know if there's any give with the support anchor. Okay, so this support bar anchor, I went ahead before I made any adjustments to it. I put a line right underneath it, loosened the screws, pushed it up. And so there's a little bit more of a gap. So it went up a little bit. We'll see if we can get the other side to go down and make the difference and get this level. So it's pretty much level now. I did have to take a rubber mallet. I hit this side up and then hit that side down. Now that we have it level, we want to move on to positioning the bar center within the opening, because we know it's a little bit shorter than the opening. So what I've done is I'm just grabbing some shims here and I'm just sticking that like that. And see, here's a gap like that on that side. And so it looks like it's evenly spaced. So now I can work on securing it, and the bar won't move as I move that hardware into place. So go ahead and push this piece of hardware into the support bar anchor, and you want to line up the screw holes. This is how I went about tapping that in place. And I'll go ahead and put the screw in. Get that side secure, get the other side. Once you have it secure, you can take this finishing ring here and just push it in place. So a tip for this project I probably should have mentioned earlier is you should take measures to protect your shower pan or your tub. And I have this styrofoam insulation here that I've been using, and I think I've only dropped one thing. So something I didn't know when I bought this product, and I knew that there were guides at the bottom of the door that the door kind of sits in. And I thought maybe they were mounted with silicone, but they're not. They want you to drill into your shower pan. A little nervous about that because you got to finish. Well, at least I have a metal shower pan and it's got a finish on it, and that it cracks easily. So in order to help me to avoid damaging the finish on the shower pan, I went out and brought brand new drill bits because they have the factory sharpened tip on them. But when you have a home sharpener and you sharpen at home, that takes away any of that improved coating that is on your drill bit. So I figured I'd get a brand new bit, and I was looking into these. This is a titanium nitride, I guess you'd pronounce it that way, coating. This helps you to prevent this thing from, it says no walking, or it's not going to just run off on you. And I don't know if any of you have experienced that. You're drilling into something and then it just kind of goes off and scrapes up the surface. So I wanted to avoid that. I wanted it to be a nice sharp tip so it can go straight on in and won't damage and won't crack the finish. So we'll see if this does the trick. Okay, so next up, it wants you to measure the opening here at the bottom. And so in my case, it was 57 3/4. Then it wants you to subtract 1 9/16 inches from that. And then you divide that number by 2. And in my case, I got 28 3/32. So I'm going to measure the 28 3/32 from the side of the wall here, and I'll mark it, and then I'll be able to put the guide up against that mark. Okay, so I got the holes marked for the guide. They're kind of hard to see, and there's a line right there that's marking 1/16 inches off the side. That's what it's specified for the guide to be off the side of the tub. I found this a little concerning because in the instructions, or in the diagram in the instructions, it shows the guide kind of sitting like this. By following the instructions, it's putting the guide right here. And I guess we got to go with that so that the doors come down from the support bar and line up correctly. Wasn't as bad, didn't do a lot of damage to the surface. Okay, so we don't secure that guide in place just yet. Instead, it moves you on out to your door so you can get the roller guides mounted. And so looks like we got to disassemble this here because we're not going to be able to get those two mounts in place until we are able to open this up. But yeah, we're going to be fitting those on just like this. So like I said, we got to open that up. Okay, so I got this screw off of here. We'll remove that. Okay, so we got to remove those two screws again so we can open this up and get it around the door. Okay, so now that's off. Looks like these are just washers. I'll insert these into here. Looks like I'll need to use both hands for that. And then put the roller guide right around it. Got this lined up. And I go ahead and get the screws in here. Okay, got those in. And I'll do that for the rest of the doors. Okay, so once I got the rollers on, I went ahead and me and my son went ahead and hung these. Kind of hard to videotape that because our hands are quite full. But essentially, you put the inner door in first, and that's the one that has the rollers facing this way. So those rollers are fitting in the track just like this. And then the outer door, the rollers are going to face this way, and they're going to hang like that. So that's how that works. Really straightforward. Just kind of lean it in there, get the rollers on the track, and then set it down. The one thing I did not do, I skipped over it in the instructions, was to put these plastic rails here at the bottom. So I'm going to see if I can do that in place. Hopefully they're flexible enough. Okay, so I was able to get the bottom seals in place by just swinging out the door and slipping them on. So for the seals on the side of the doors, there's two types, which I'm showing you here. So this is your time to determine, okay, am I getting in the shower on the left side or the right side? So like I'm going to be entering from the left side, so I want the front door, the door that's in the front, I want that to slide from left to right. So that door is going to have this seal here on the left on its left side, and then this seal here on the right on its right side. So in placing these seals, you can see that it's got a notch there. You're just going to kind of pop that on. Start at the bottom because you want the side seal to touch the bottom seal. So start down there, and that way it's lined up properly. Got the seals on, yeah, so you can see where, like this one will be the interior, and it's got this flap here that will kind of block water from getting between the doors. And then this one here will be touching the side, so it's just got this flap that will block water from coming this way. I figured out how the slow stop mechanism works. So you can see where this outer guide here, so it's kind of pulled all the way out and it's kind of set, it's kind of clicked this way. So it's ready to receive that door, and when that door hits it, it accepts it and then does a slow stop. So this one isn't set yet, so the door comes over here and just kind of hits it and won't even shut all the way. But what you do is you just take your key here and there it is. I'm going to go ahead and show you how that works. See how it slowly stopped there? And it brings it all the way over. That's the interior door. It's actually going to, I'll use it on the other side. Okay, so next up I want to put the guide in place. In order to do so, there's some notches on these bottom seals. Make sure I get those in place. See that? So they kind of meant to fit right in there. I'll just slide it over here. The doors naturally line up with where the guide should be, so that's good news. I was a little concerned about its positioning. And I'm going to go ahead and use the CC screws and from the hardware kit. Okay, so I got the guide mounted on there. I did have to take the drill with that same drill bit and grind out the holes because I just was having trouble getting the screws in there. So this is the decorative track, and this is going to go down here. I obviously have to cut this down to fit my opening. Instructions say to cut it down 3/16 of an inch shorter than the opening. So I'm going to mark that and then use that same saw masonry metal blade on there to get this cut. So I got that cut. I'm going to put these decorative caps on here and then get this in place. There's one for each end. Looks like I should have filed that down a little bit on my cut, so I got to do that and get this ready to go. I'm going to come back to installing the decorative track because you're supposed to secure it down with clear silicone. I have white silicone. I could probably make that work, but I can see where the clear silicone would be better. So I'm going to come back to that one. But for now, I'm going to install the handles here. And so that's just a matter that come with the screw already in place, but you got to remove it. It's got these washers, so we'll take off this screw with the washer. And we're just going to insert it into these holes right here. Obviously, one is going to be my exterior handle, and that will go on the exterior door. And then we'll have the other one for the internal. Okay, so we're going to put this one here. So it's got that plastic washer there, so the metal isn't on the glass. Then it'll be this plastic washer, and then the metal washer. It'll go on like that, and then the handle. And I'll do that on both sides. So before I put this decorative bar down here on the outside of the shower door, I'm actually going to run the water and just see if the water even leaks out. Because if it doesn't, that really doesn't look that bad to me. As you can see, my test revealed that water just kind of flows down the door and then it kind of just pours out the bottom. So I'll have to use that decorative guard. Because silicone is so messy, I'm going to set it in place, and I'm going to head and throw some painter's tape on both sides of it. I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done. I'm probably going to also throw painter's tape onto the bar itself because the silicone will get onto it and probably get messy as well. The only concern I have there is when I pull it off, will it yank the bar out of place? It might have to be kind of like a matter of holding the bar in place while pulling off tape. So we'll see if I can maneuver that and make that work. Okay, so you can see that I got it all taped up. And I taped down here on both sides of the door because obviously I'll have the door open when I work on this side and then move it over to work on this side here. Here's the bar right here. I have the tape up a little bit, that way I can have silicone down here along the base of it. So what I'm going to do is just put a bead of silicone across this strip here where there's no tape. Set the bar in there. Then I'm going to use a baggie because you don't want to get that silicone on your finger. Smooth the silicone out on both sides of the bar, and then immediately pull the tape off because you don't want the silicone to dry on the tape. So I have it applied, and now I'm going to get this on here. Looks like this whole silicone's holding it pretty good. Get this lined up, and then I'm just going to use a bag and get this all smoothed out. This is on here really good. I was afraid that it was just going to be pushed around and it'd be hard to smooth these out, but not the case. So I got the decorative bar on. It really wasn't that bad. I thought it was actually going to end up being a mess, but that clear silicone really holds it in tight. So I'm just going to wait till tomorrow, let this cure a little bit, try a shower again, and see if it holds back that water that wants to flow out. So we'll see what happens. The decorative bar is in place and the silicone has cured, so I just did a second test. Now this time, I actually had the shower heads on. I didn't the first time. So there was a lot of splashing during the first test, a lot of water getting onto the door. But this time, there wasn't much splashing, and I didn't even see any water flow underneath the door. I'm thinking this is going to be good and watertight. And then if water does get under the door, it's going to collect up on that decorative bar because that silicone's there. So happy with that. I do recommend that you put that in place. And yeah, so I am all done with this. I would say that this is a doable project. It's intimidating because it's large glass doors. And obviously you want to be careful. There was a 2-man lift and getting these doors in here and in place. But other than that, I mean, it's a pretty straightforward project. Got to be careful when you're drilling through the tile because you can crack it. I do like the ease in which you open this, and it has the slow shut mechanism. Even if you push it real hard, it catches it and slows it down. So the instructions do come for a right to left open. I, however, did left to right. So it's just a matter of getting the right seal on the right side. I would say one improvement that they could add is just maybe some type of grip on the inside so that no matter what side you're on, you could open either door. Anyways, I hope this helps you out as you choose your shower door, and maybe it'll give you some confidence on whether you should install it or not. And thanks for watching. God bless.